I couldn't breathe. I stared at Alex, my hands clenched at my sides, the weight of his words pressing down on me. He was sitting across from me at the kitchen table, his usual confident smirk on his face. But today, something felt different. The words he spoke hit harder than they ever had before. "You really think you can do this without me?" He scoffed. "You're nothing without me. You always were." I could feel the anger rising in me, but I kept my voice steady, even as the sting of his words twisted inside my chest. "I'm not nothing, Alex. I'm not your project, your charity case. I can stand on my own." His laugh was cold. "Stand on your own? You can't even function without me. You've always needed me. You know that, right? Without me, you're just a nobody." I swallowed, trying to hold back the tears that burned behind my eyes. Every word he said was like a knife twisting deeper. He didn't mean it, or did he? "Don't you dare say that to me," I whispered, voice trembling. He leaned back, folding his arms, his expression hardening. "It's the truth, and you know it. Everything you have, you owe it to me. I made you who you are. Without me, you'd still be nothing. You'd still be lost." The truth? Was that the truth? The last few months flashed through my mind, those late nights when I had clung to his every word, seeking his approval. The way I had let him control the decisions I made, my life tied to his success, to his whims. I had never questioned it. I had thought he was right, that I needed him, that I was nothing without him, but I wasn't sure anymore. "Alex, I paused, trying to hold back the rush of emotions threatening to spill. "I don't need you. Not like that. I'm not some sidekick. I'm more than that." His eyes narrowed, his voice low but venomous. "You think so? You think you're better off without me? Fine, walk away. See how far you get." I stood up suddenly, the chair scraping against the floor. My heart pounded, my mind racing. Was he right? Was I nothing without him? Could I survive without him? "Maybe I'll find out," I said, my voice firm. "Maybe I'll figure it out on my own." I could see the surprise in his eyes, but it quickly turned to anger. "You think you can do this alone? You'll fail. You won't make it." "I'm not scared," I replied, the anger finally spilling over. "Not anymore." The silence that followed was deafening. For a moment, neither of us moved. I could feel my breath coming faster, my pulse pounding in my ears. I looked at him one last time, and this time, I didn't see the person I had once loved. I saw a man who thought he owned me, who thought I was weak, and for the first time, I realized I wasn't. I turned and walked away. I didn't even bother to look back. My mind was set. I had to find my own way. I didn't know how, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to stay and let him control me any longer. I didn't need him. Not anymore. I pulled the suitcase behind me, the weight of it feeling heavier with each step. I wasn't sure where I was going, only that I couldn't stay. Not with him. Not in this life where everything was tied to his approval. The door shut behind me with a finality that felt strange. I couldn't turn back. But what did I have? The world seemed huge, cold, and unforgiving. "You're really doing this?" Emily's voice cut through the stillness as she appeared from the hallway, concern clouding her face. "You're leaving him?" I nodded, the lump in my throat growing. "I don't have a choice. I can't keep living like this. I've lost myself, Em." She stepped closer, her eyes softening. "You haven't lost yourself. You just need to remember who you are. You can start fresh. I know you can." I blinked back tears. I don't even know who I am anymore. I've spent so long relying on him. It's like I forgot how to be me. Emily reached out, grabbing my hand. "You're stronger than you think. You just need a push. And I'm here for you. You'll figure it out." I stared at her hand, holding mine, and the weight of the moment hit me. I wasn't truly alone. Not with her in my corner. "I don't know where to start," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "Start by taking it one day at a time. Get out there. Find something. Anything that makes you feel alive again." I swallowed, nodding slowly. She was right. The world outside was unfamiliar, but I didn't have to tackle it all at once. Maybe I could start small, take one step forward. "I'll be here," Emily said, squeezing my hand. "You're going to make it. Just trust yourself." I gave her a shaky smile before turning toward the door. With every step, the weight of the past seemed to lessen. It wasn't gone, but it was no longer suffocating me. I didn't know what was coming, but for the first time in so long, I felt like I could breathe again. As I stepped outside, the cool night air hit me, and I took a deep breath. No more walking in his shadow. No more second guessing my worth. It was time to find my own path. I didn't know what the future held, but I was finally free to find out, and that felt like the first step towards something better. The first day at the new job felt like a whirlwind. The office was small, but there was something strangely comforting about its simplicity. I had no idea what to expect, but I needed this. I needed to prove to myself that I could make it. Hey, you're new, right? A voice interrupted my thoughts. I looked up to see a man standing in front of me. He was dressed in a plain shirt and jeans, looking far too casual for someone in charge. His eyes were kind, but there was an intensity to him. Yeah, I'm Sarah, I said, trying to sound confident, even though I felt anything but. Mark, he said, giving me a small, warm smile. I'm your mentor here. Don't worry about the dress code around here. We care more about results than appearances. I nodded, grateful for his laid-back attitude. It made the anxiety in my stomach ease a little. Thanks, I'll try my best. Mark leaned against my desk, looking over my shoulder at the paperwork in front of me. Looks like you're already tackling the big stuff. Impressive. I glanced at the pages, unsure of what to do next. I'm just trying to keep up. I don't really know what I'm doing. Don't worry about that. Everyone starts somewhere. You've got the drive. That's what matters. The rest will come with time. I felt a small spark of hope at his words. I wasn't used to hearing that encouragement was something I'd almost forgotten existed, especially after everything with Alex. Thanks, I said, managing a smile. I'll try to get the hang of it. Mark stepped back, his eyes scanning the room. Take your time, but don't be afraid to ask questions. I'll be around if you need anything. As he walked away, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't drowning in the pressure. I had a chance here. Days turned into weeks. The work wasn't glamorous, but it was real. Every time I learned something new or solved a problem, I felt a little more confident. I was carving out my place in this world, one small step at a time. You're really starting to catch on, Mark said one afternoon as he leaned over my desk, looking at the project I'd been working on. You've got potential, Sarah. I can see that. I smiled, a little surprised by how much those words meant. Thanks, Mark. I didn't think I'd be able to handle this. Well, you're doing great. Just keep it up, and you'll be leading your own team before you know it. Leading a team? The thought was foreign to me, but the idea of it didn't terrify me the way it once would have. It almost felt possible. I'll try my best, I said, feeling the fire inside me spark a little brighter. I'm not going to let myself fail this time. Mark smiled, that same encouraging glint in his eyes. I don't think you will. The days kept passing, each one pushing me closer to a version of myself I hadn't known existed. I still had moments of doubt, still wondered if I really belonged in this space, but I was learning to shut those thoughts down. I wasn't the girl who needed Alex anymore. I was Sarah, the woman who could stand on her own, build something on her own, and that made all the difference. I hadn't expected to hear about it so soon. In fact, I had tried to push it out of my mind. But the words came to me through Emily, of all people. You know, she said, her voice tight. I heard something today. About Alex. I didn't need to hear it. I knew what was coming. I'd been avoiding his name, avoiding anything that could tie me back to him, but it wasn't enough. It never would be. What about him? I asked, pretending I didn't care, but I felt the familiar ache in my chest return. Emily sat down across from me, looking at me with pity. He's been telling people that you're nothing without him, that you'll never make it on your own. He's saying all kinds of stuff about you, trying to make it sound like you're weak. I froze. What? She nodded, her face etched with concern. I didn't want to tell you, but I thought you should know. He's been going around bad-mouthing you to people we know, including your old colleagues. It was like a punch to the gut. The man I had once loved, the man I had trusted, was tearing me down behind my back. I had suspected it, of course. He was always so controlling, so convinced. I could never be anything without him. But hearing it from someone else hit me harder than I expected. Why would he do that? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jealousy. Control. I don't know. But I think he's scared, Sarah. He's scared because you're doing fine without him. The words stung, but there was a strange sense of clarity in them too. I wasn't the weak, dependent woman I had been. I had built something on my own. Does he really think I'll fail? I murmured, the old doubts creeping in again. but I quickly shook them off. No, I wasn't going back there. Does it matter what he thinks? Emily replied sharply. You've already proven him wrong by getting this far. You're doing great. Don't let him bring you down. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the rush of emotions that swirled inside me. Alex was still trying to control me, even from a distance. The realization hit hard, but it wasn't the crushing blow it used to be. I wasn't the same person anymore. I'm not weak, I said firmly. I'm not his puppet. I don't need his approval. Not anymore. Emily smiled, a look of relief on her face. Exactly. And I'm proud of you for seeing that. He doesn't get to have that hold over you anymore. But as I walked away from our conversation, I couldn't shake the bitterness in my stomach. I had given him so much. I had trusted him with everything. And now, all he had left was to tear me down. Because he couldn't stand to see me rise without him. I wasn't going to let that happen. I was stronger than that. I had to be. The next day at work, I ran into someone who used to be one of Alex's close friends, Jordan. He was the last person I wanted to see, but he caught my eye as I was walking to my desk. Hey Sarah, he said, almost awkwardly. I heard about the split. How are you holding up? I gave him a tight smile. I'm fine. Doing better than I was actually. I heard what Alex has been saying about you, Jordan added, his voice low. I just wanted you to know that it's all lies. You're not what he's making you out to be. I looked at him, surprised by the sincerity in his eyes. Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate it. He gave me a small smile, then walked off, leaving me standing there with a bitter taste in my mouth. Alex had said I was nothing without him, and now it was clear he was the one who was afraid of me becoming something. Of me proving him wrong, and I would. I couldn't believe it when I got the email. It was early in the morning, and I was still trying to wake up when I saw the subject line. Promotion opportunity, project lead. I stared at it for a long time, not sure if I was reading it right. Everything okay? Emily asked, peering over my shoulder. I blinked and glanced up at her. I think I just got promoted. They want me to lead a new project. It's huge. Her eyes widened, and she rushed over to my side. Are you serious? That's amazing, Sarah. I just nodded, still in shock. A mix of excitement and disbelief flooded through me. I don't even know what to say. I wasn't expecting this. You deserve it, she said, grinning. You've been working your butt off for months. Of course, they noticed. You've got this. I don't know. My voice faltered a little. What if I mess it up? What if I can't handle it? You can, she said firmly. You've already proven you can handle more than you thought you could. Look at everything you've done already. I couldn't help but smile. Emily had been my rock, always there to remind me of my strength when I couldn't see it myself. But this felt different. It felt like the beginning of something bigger. That afternoon, Mark pulled me aside in the hallway. Got a minute? Of course, I said, trying to hide my nervousness. What's up? He looked me over for a second, almost like he was sizing me up, then smiled. I heard about the promotion. Congratulations, Sarah. You've earned it. Thanks, I said, my voice still a little shaky. I'm not sure I'm ready for it though. It's a huge responsibility, Mark chuckled. No one is ever ready for a big opportunity. But you're exactly the person who should be leading this project. I blinked, surprised. You really think so? He nodded, his gaze steady. You're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. I've seen it, and so has everyone else. Don't doubt yourself now. I felt a spark of something, pride maybe, but also a growing sense of power. I wasn't the same woman who had walked into this company months ago. I wasn't the woman who needed Alex's approval anymore. I won't, I said, determination filling me. I'm going to make this work. For me. The next few days were a blur. I threw myself into the project, researching, meeting with the team, organizing everything I could. I was still figuring out the ropes, but it felt different this time. I wasn't just following orders, I was giving them. And it felt good. Really good. Hey Sarah, need a hand? Mark's voice broke through my thoughts as I stared at a pile of reports on my desk. I looked up and gave him a tired smile. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm still trying to figure out this strategy plan. It's a little overwhelming. Mark leaned against the desk, glancing over the papers. You're doing just fine. The fact that you're this organized already is impressive. Just trust your instincts. I felt a flush of warmth spread across my chest. Thanks. I guess I just keep thinking about what Alex would say, you know? What if he was right? What if I'm not good enough for this? Mark's expression shifted, and for a moment, he looked almost serious. Forget what Alex would say. This isn't about him anymore. This is your chance to show everyone, including yourself, that you're more than capable. You've got the skills, Sarah. Don't second guess yourself. I stared at him, the words sinking in. He was right. I had to let go of the past. Alex had no place in my future. You're right, I said, feeling the weight of his words settle in. I can do this. Of course, you can, Mark said with a grin. Now, let's get to work. The company's counting on you. As I got back to my desk, I felt something click inside me. I was ready. I was ready to prove everyone wrong. Not just Alex, but myself. I wasn't a sidekick. I wasn't weak. I was capable of far more than I'd ever realized. And this project, this was only the beginning. I sat at my desk staring at the pile of reports in front of me. The project wasn't going as smoothly as I'd hoped, and the pressure was starting to build. I could feel the weight of every decision, every mistake, and every moment I doubted myself. But I wasn't going to give up. I couldn't. Sarah. Mark's voice broke through my thoughts as he leaned against the doorframe of my office. How's it going? I looked up, rubbing my temples. It's harder than I thought. There are so many moving parts, and I'm still figuring out what needs to be done next. I keep thinking I've missed something. Mark stepped inside, closing the door behind him. You're doing fine. Don't beat yourself up. Everyone hits bumps along the way. The key is how you handle them. I don't know if I'm handling them well, I muttered. It feels like I'm failing everyone. He walked over to my desk and pulled up a chair. You're not failing. You're learning. And that's the most important part. Don't forget where you started. You've already come so far. I sighed, sinking back into my chair. It's just frustrating. I'm used to having someone to guide me, someone to tell me what to do. Now I'm the one making decisions, and it's a lot harder than I expected. Mark smiled, a knowing glint in his eyes. You don't need someone to hold your hand anymore. You've proven you can lead. Trust yourself, Sarah. You've got this. I stared at him, a wave of realization hitting me. He was right. I wasn't that scared, insecure woman anymore. I had to stop second-guessing myself. I had the skills. I had the drive. I could handle this. I know. Sometimes it feels like I'm in over my head, I admitted, feeling the weight of the responsibility pressing down on me. Mark's tone softened. That's normal. But every leader feels that way at some point. You just have to keep pushing forward, one step at a time. I nodded, trying to absorb his words. He wasn't just giving me advice. He was giving me the space to believe in myself. And that meant everything. I'll keep going, I said, straightening up. I'm not going to quit. That's what I like to hear, Mark said with a grin. You're stronger than you realize, and you're doing a great job. Just keep trusting yourself. The next few days were a blur of meetings, late nights, and endless revisions. There were moments when I felt like throwing in the towel, when every setback made me question my abilities. But something inside me refused to quit. Each mistake was a lesson, and each obstacle was a challenge I had to overcome. Sarah, I need you to look over this. One of my team members, Jessica said, dropping a new report on my desk. I took it from her, quickly scanning the numbers. This looks good, but can we tweak the projections on this section? She nodded. Got it. Anything else? I looked up at her, feeling a surge of confidence I hadn't felt in a long time. No, this is solid. Great work. She smiled, clearly relieved. Thanks, Sarah. I watched her walk away, a sense of pride welling up inside me. I wasn't just managing this project. I was leading it, and I was doing it my way. Later that afternoon, Mark stopped by again, giving me a brief nod of approval as he passed my desk. You're handling things well, he said, his voice casual but genuine. Thanks, I replied, feeling the weight of his words. It's not easy, but I'm starting to feel like I can do this. Like I'm finally in control. That's because you are, he said, his smile wide. You've got this, Sarah. I've always believed in you. The confidence in his voice was exactly what I needed to hear. The road ahead was still tough, and I still had so much to learn. But I wasn't the same person I had been months ago. I had grown. I had transformed. I'm not going to stop, I said quietly, more to myself than to him. Mark gave me an encouraging smile. I know you won't. I wasn't prepared to see him. Not here. Not now. I stood by the drinks table at the business event, trying to calm my nerves when I felt a presence behind me. I turned, and there he was, Alex. He was dressed sharply, his usual confident smirk in place, but something in his eyes looked different. "Sarah," he said, his voice smooth, almost a smooth. "I didn't expect to see you here." I forced a smile, trying to keep my composure. "Well, it's a business event, Alex. I'm here for work, of course," he said, nodding as if it made perfect sense. "I'm glad to see you're still keeping busy. I've heard a lot about the new project you're leading." Impressive. I couldn't help but notice the way his eyes flickered with something envy, maybe? The jealousy was subtle, but it was there. He was trying to mask it, but I could see right through him. "Thanks," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. "It's been a challenge, but I'm getting the hang of it." "Of course you are," Alex said, his smile still tight. "You always did have potential. I just never thought you'd go this far without me." The words stung, but only for a second. I was no longer the girl who depended on him for validation. I wasn't going to let him pull me back into that place. "Well, you were wrong," I said, my voice steady. "I'm doing just fine without you." His smile faltered for the briefest of moments, but he quickly recovered. "I never said you couldn't. It's just surprising. That's all, is it?" I raised an eyebrow. "Why? Because you thought I'd fail without you?" He didn't answer, but the discomfort on his face was enough of a response. I could see it now. He wasn't the same confident man I had once relied on. In fact, I was starting to realize how small he seemed now, how fragile his ego was without someone to prop it up. "You look good though," he said after a pause, his tone changing slightly. "Really, Sarah? I'm happy for you." I almost laughed. "You don't have to pretend to be happy for me, Alex. I don't need your approval anymore." He seemed taken aback by my directness, his eyes narrowing slightly. "I'm not pretending," he said, though I could hear the bitterness in his voice. "I just didn't think you'd be this independent. You've always needed someone." "I don't need anyone now," I replied, standing taller. "Not you. Not anyone. I've learned to stand on my own." His gaze flickered with something resentment, maybe. It was clear that he didn't like seeing me this way. Strong, confident, and no longer under his thumb. "Well, good luck with everything," Alex said, taking a step back. "I'm sure you'll do just fine." He turned and walked away, his stride stiff and rigid. I watched him go, feeling a strange sense of satisfaction. He had expected me to crumble without him, but I was thriving. I didn't need him, not now, not ever. And that felt better than anything he could have ever given me. I wasn't expecting the phone call. I wasn't even sure I wanted to pick up, but something about the number on the screen made me pause. "Hello, Sarah?" came the voice on the other end. It was Alex. His tone was flat, devoid of the usual arrogance. "We need to talk." I almost laughed, but the bitterness in my throat kept the sound inside. "What do you want, Alex?" "I need a favor. I've lost everything. My company is tanking. People I thought were loyal turned their backs on me." His voice faltered for a moment, and I could almost picture him, standing there, defeated. "I need a job. Your company. I heard you're looking for someone." The words hung in the air like a bad joke. Alex, the man who had once told me I was nothing without him, was now asking me for help. My mind flashed back to all the times he had belittled me, the way he'd made me feel small, like I couldn't survive without him. The irony wasn't lost on me. "Alex, are you serious?" I asked, my voice steady but cold. "You want me to give you a job?" "I'm not asking for charity," he replied quickly, almost too quickly. "I'm asking for a chance. I know I messed up, okay? I didn't realize how much I was pushing you away. I need this. I need something to hold on to." I could hear the desperation in his voice, but it didn't move me the way it once would have. I should have felt a sense of satisfaction, maybe even vindication, but instead, all I felt was a dull ache in my chest. "Alex, I don't know what to tell you," I said, my words slow and deliberate. "I can't give you a job. You've hurt too many people. You've manipulated and lied your way through everything. You can't expect me to just forget all of that." "I didn't mean it," he said, the words coming out ragged. "I was wrong. Please, Sarah, please help me." I paused, thinking about the years I spent in his shadow, trying to gain his approval. I thought about how I had crumbled under the weight of his cruelty, the way I'd believed his lies. The woman I used to be would have fallen for this, would have taken pity on him. But I wasn't her anymore. I'm sorry, Alex, I said finally, feeling a strange sense of closure. But no, I can't do that. There was silence on the other end of the line, and for a moment, I thought he was going to argue. But instead, he spoke softly, almost defeated. I understand. I guess I had it coming. I didn't know how to respond to that. Part of me wanted to say something reassuring, to offer him some kind of hope. But another part of me knew better. He needed to face the consequences of his actions. I had to let him go. You'll be fine, I said, my voice softer now, though still firm. You always land on your feet. Just, not this time. I deserve that, he muttered, and then there was a long pause. Goodbye, Sarah. Goodbye, Alex. The line went dead, and I sat there for a long moment, the weight of the conversation pressing down on me. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel satisfaction. But I felt something, peace, maybe. I had finally closed that chapter. Alex was no longer the man I needed to survive. I didn't want to take joy in his misery. I wanted to move forward, to focus on the future, not the past. But the truth was, I was stronger now. I was wiser. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I sat at my desk, staring at the phone, the words from Alex still ringing in my ears. He had asked for a job. He had come to me, desperate and broken, and I had the power to help him. But should I? I clenched my fists, trying to steady my thoughts. I could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on me. Part of me wanted to say yes, part of me felt the old habit of wanting to help him, to fix things. But that was the person I used to be. I wasn't her anymore. Sarah? Emily's voice broke through my thoughts. She stood in the doorway of my office, her face full of concern. What's going on? You've been quiet all day. I looked up at her, struggling to find the words. Alex called me. Her eyes widened. Alex? What did he want? He asked for a job, I said, my voice tight. His company is falling apart, and he's lost everything. He wants me to help him. Emily didn't say anything for a moment. And what did you say? I haven't said anything yet, I admitted, feeling the weight of the decision settling in. I'm torn. Part of me feels sorry for him. He's really hit rock bottom. But then I remember everything he did to me, how he made me feel worthless, how he manipulated me. I shook my head, fighting back the anger that was rising inside me. I can't just let him back in him. I can't go back to that. Emily crossed the room, sitting down beside me. I get it. I know you want to help people, but you can't lose yourself trying to fix someone else. You've worked so hard to get where you are. You deserve to have a life free from his control. I know, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. But it's hard. I spent so much time thinking I couldn't survive without him. Now he's asking me for help, and part of me just wants to give it to him. To prove that I'm not the person he said I was. You don't owe him that, Emily said firmly. You've already proven it to yourself. You're not that person anymore. You're strong. You don't need his approval or his pity. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and guilt. But it's hard to just say no. It feels wrong. You're not saying no out of spite. You're saying no because you've learned your worth. You've earned everything you have. You're not going to let him drag you down again. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of Emily's words settle in. You're right. I'm not going to let him back in. Not like that. He has to figure things out on his own. I picked up my phone, staring at the screen for a long moment. Finally, I tapped the number. I waited as the phone rang, my heart pounding in my chest. When Alex answered, his voice sounded hollow. Sarah? I can't give you a job, Alex, I said, my voice firm. I'm sorry, but I can't. You have to face the consequences of your actions. There was silence on the other end of the line, and I could almost hear him processing my words. I understand, he said quietly, and then, after a pause, goodbye, Sarah. Goodbye, Alex. I hung up, feeling a strange sense of peace wash over me. It was hard, but it was the right choice. I wasn't going to let him control me anymore. I had come too far to let him back in. The weight of the decision hit me the moment I sat in the CEO's chair. It was surreal. The seat I had fought for, bled for. Every late night, every moment of self-doubt, it all led to this. I had finally made it. Sarah, congratulations. Mark's voice broke through my thoughts as he walked into my office. You deserve this. I smiled, but it felt strange, like I wasn't entirely sure how to wear it. Thanks. It's a lot to take in. Mark pulled up a chair, his eyes warm. I know, but you've earned it. Don't forget that. You're in control now. I looked around my office, the one that had once felt like a distant dream. Now it was mine. And yet, as I sat here, it felt more like the beginning of something than the end. There was still so much work to do, so much I had yet to prove. I'm not sure I'll ever really feel like this is mine, I said, almost to myself. I've worked so hard for this, but I can't help thinking about what it took to get here. Mark leaned forward. It's normal to feel that way, but you are in control now. Your past doesn't define you. Not anymore. I nodded, trying to swallow down the feelings of uncertainty. I've got a lot of people counting on me. I can't afford to mess this up. You won't, he said with conviction. You're already doing what others couldn't. This is your time. Later that day, I stood in the conference room, looking over the faces of the team. They were all there, waiting for me to lead, to set the tone. The weight of the responsibility pressed on my shoulders, but I stood tall, reminding myself of how far I had come. All right, team, I said, my voice confident. This is our moment. We've got the resources, the talent, and now we've got the leadership. Let's make this company something no one can ignore. As the meeting went on, I couldn't help but feel a rush of pride. I was doing it. I wasn't the woman I used to be, the one always looking for approval. I was the one calling the shots now, the one setting the direction. A few days later, I ran into someone I wasn't expecting. Alex. He was standing in the lobby of the building, looking out of place. His once confident stance was now slumped, his expensive suit wrinkled, as though even his appearance had fallen apart. Sarah, he said, his voice softer than I remembered. I didn't think I'd see you here. I stared at him for a moment, no longer feeling that rush of emotions that once came with his presence. It was like seeing a ghost of someone who used to hold power over me, but not anymore. What are you doing here? He shifted uncomfortably, glancing around. I came to see if you could help me. My company, it's gone under. I thought maybe you'd give me a chance. A job, anything. I didn't feel the pity I thought I might. Instead, I just felt nothing. He had made his choices, and now he was paying for them. No, I said, my voice steady. I can't help you. His face twisted with something I couldn't quite name. Anger? Regret? Maybe a mix of both. You're really going to leave me like this? His voice cracked. I'm not leaving you, I said. You left me. You made your bed. Now you get to lie in it. Alex stared at me for a long moment, and for the first time, I saw at the realization that he no longer had any control over me. The tables had turned, and he was powerless. Goodbye, Alex, I said, turning to walk away, my footsteps echoing in the empty lobby. I had made it. I was at the top of my game. And Alex? He was irrelevant. His fate had been sealed by his own mistakes. The woman I used to be was gone, and with her, the need for his approval. I was in control now, and no one was going to take that away from me. I didn't expect him to show up at my office, not after everything, but there he was, standing in the doorway, looking like a man who had lost everything. His tailored suit was still sharp, but his shoulders were slumped, and there was a desperation in his eyes that I hadn't seen before. Sarah, he said, his voice tentative. I know we haven't spoken much since everything, but I need to talk to you. I didn't stand up, didn't acknowledge his presence beyond a glance. I just stared at him from my chair. What's this about, Alex? He stepped inside, the door closing behind him with a soft click. I need your help. My company's done. Everything's falling apart, and I'm out of options. I thought maybe you could give me a job. Just a chance. I wasn't surprised by the request after all. This was the same man who had once told me I was nothing without him. But now, he was here, broken, asking for something I didn't owe him. No, I said, my voice flat. I can't help you. His face tightened, the desperation morphing into something I couldn't quite place. I know I messed up, but please, Sarah, please, I'll do whatever it takes. I just need a job, a chance to rebuild. You were always the one who understood me. You always believed in me. I leaned back in my chair, my gaze never leaving his. I used to believe in you, Alex, but that was before you tore me apart, before you made me feel like I wasn't worth anything. He flinched, and I could see the pain in his eyes, but I didn't care anymore. I tried to make you believe in yourself, but you never let me. I continued, my words sharp. You manipulated me, controlled me, and made me think I was nothing without you. Do you remember telling me that? That I'd never make it on my own? That I needed you? His face reddened, his lips trembling. I didn't mean it. I was wrong. I know, I interrupted, cutting him off. You didn't just say those things, Alex. You made me believe them. You made me doubt myself for so long. But you know what? I don't need you anymore. I'm not the person I was when I walked out that door. I don't need anyone to validate me. And I don't need you. The silence between us was thick, heavy with the weight of all that had passed between us. His eyes searched mine, looking for something, some sign of weakness, some crack he could slip through. But there was nothing left for him. No second chances. No forgiveness. I thought you'd understand, he said, his voice breaking. I thought you'd see that I'm not the same person. That I'm sorry. I don't care if you're sorry, Alex, I said, my voice steady. What matters is that I've moved on. I'm not that girl anymore. And you don't get to control me, even in your failure. His shoulders sagged, his face falling into an expression of defeat. I guess I really lost you. Didn't I? You lost yourself, I replied, standing up now, looking him straight in the eye. And I'm not going to be a part of your downfall anymore. I'm not your safety net. He stood there for a moment, staring at me, and I could see the last of his hope drain away. There was nothing left for him here. Not anymore. Goodbye, Alex, I said softly, turning toward my desk. You'll have to figure it out on your own, like I had to. I heard him leave, the door clicking shut behind him, but I didn't feel anything. No anger, no satisfaction, just a quiet sense of peace. I had finally let go of everything. I was free. I watched Alex walk out of my office, his head down, his steps slow and defeated. There was no anger in me, no satisfaction, no urge to chase after him and say something more. I simply let him go. As the door clicked shut behind him, I leaned back in my chair, the weight of the moment settling in. The office was quiet, but it felt peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I felt light. It was over. It had been over for a while, but today, I knew it, truly knew it. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to feel guilty. I had walked away from him before, but today was different. I was walking away from everything he had made me believe. I was the weak woman who thought she needed him. She was gone. And in her place stood someone stronger, someone who had learned to stand on her own. I sat there for a moment, letting the silence fill the space around me. I could still feel the echo of his words in my mind, but they didn't sting anymore. They didn't have the power to hurt me like they once did. Sarah, are you okay? Emily's voice broke through the quiet as she walked into my office, her eyes full of concern. I smiled, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Yeah, I'm fine. You sure? She stepped closer, her brow furrowed. You looked like you were in deep thought. I was, I said, leaning back in my chair. Just thinking about everything. She raised an eyebrow, but didn't push. You look at peace. I'm glad. I am, I replied, feeling a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying slowly lift from my shoulders. I'm really glad. Emily watched me for a moment, then gave me a small smile. I think you've finally closed that chapter. You're free. I nodded slowly, the words sinking in. I had survived. I had thrived. And I hadn't needed Alex to prove it. I'm not the person I was, I said quietly, almost to myself. And I'm not going back to that. Emily didn't say anything, but I could see the pride in her eyes. You've come a long way, Sarah. I'm proud of you. Thanks, I whispered. I'm proud of me too. I stood up and walked over to the window, looking out at the city. It was quiet outside, but I could feel the promise of the future waiting for me. My future. My own. And for the first time in a long time, I knew this was just the beginning. I stood by the window, watching the sun set behind the city. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, and for the first time in so long, it felt like everything was exactly where it should be. Sarah? I turned to see Emily standing in the doorway, a smile on her face. She hadn't said much since Alex had left, but I could tell she'd been waiting for me to say something. I smiled back, my heart light. Hey, you okay? She asked, her voice gentle. Yeah, I replied, walking over to her. I'm better than okay. She raised an eyebrow, clearly curious. What do you mean? I took a deep breath, letting the weight of everything settle around me. I've finally let go of everything. The past, the doubt, the fear. It doesn't have any hold on me anymore. Emily's face softened, and I could see the pride in her eyes. You've come so far, Sarah. I'm proud of you. I shook my head slightly, my eyes catching the last remnants of daylight outside. I'm proud of me too, She stepped forward, her smile widening. And you should be. You've worked hard for this, for yourself. You've built something amazing, and you're just getting started. I couldn't help but smile, the future suddenly feeling full of endless possibilities. I know, and I'm not going back. Not to the past. Not to that version of me. I'm in control now. I can see that, she said with a nod. And you're going to do great things, Sarah. I know it. I met her gaze, feeling a warmth spread through me. Thank you. For everything. You've been the one constant in all of this, Emily shrugged modestly. That's what friends are for. I took a step back, looking at the skyline again. It feels like a new beginning. A fresh start. You've earned it, she said, her voice full of sincerity. You've earned everything that's coming to you. I nodded, my heart swelling with a quiet confidence. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but I was ready. I had the strength to face whatever came next. And I knew, deep down, that nothing could take that away from me. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was waiting for something. I wasn't waiting for someone else to define me, to validate me. I knew who I was now, and I was exactly where I needed to be.